All right, well, good afternoon. Welcome to our NASA Langley Engineering Technical Apprentice Program graduation ceremony. And I think we still have music going. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so welcome. My name is Jason Kinney, and I'm going to be emceeing today's graduation ceremony. And I'm actually going to borrow a term that a mentor of mine in my apprenticeship used to use. Hi, I'm Jason Kinney, and I'm in the 18th year of my apprenticeship. Very important, and what that means to me is apprenticeship is truly a life-changing endeavor. For me, that's what it was. For me and my family, it set me on a trajectory career-wise that actually has led me here today at NASA. My role is in organizational development and coaching, and that affords me a privilege to come alongside leaders and teams to focus on well-being and mission-focused capability. And what that really means is I just get to hang out and serve humans. It's my favorite part of this job. And I want to thank you all for being here, you humans for being here. And this is a ceremony, but it's also a celebration, so I want you to feel free to treat it as a celebration. This isn't just a certificate for attaining a certification that took you 6 months to get. This is years of dedication and rolling up the sleeves. It's quite an accomplishment. And I know it's a long time coming. For those of you sitting in this room, you know, circumstances over the past couple of years have really made it tough to get those ceremonies in line. So I think this is a very special moment. So just as exciting as you all humans that we're celebrating are the ones that are joining us, both physically and those that are watching in or watching a recording. So I want you to raise your hand if you are an apprentice graduate, whether from this program or another program. That's at least half the people in this room. That's pretty awesome. Raise your hand if you've had a family member who is or was an apprentice. All right? Raise your hand if you are a leader or a manager or a mentor that has had a significant impact on an apprentice that's in this room or an apprentice in general. Yeah, raise your hand if you haven't raised your hand yet. Because you're going to walk out of this room and you will be impacted by the idea of apprenticeship after today's ceremony. I guarantee it. As our 5 graduates can surely attest to, apprenticeship, it gets in your blood. It really does. And there's going to be a lot of bleeding over the next hour. From folks like our Center Director, Clayton Turner, Jim Fody, and Angela Hanks from the Department of Labor. Appreciate y'all being here, spending this time with us. Your class speaker, Patricia Jackson, and our keynote from Steve Gale. So to get the bleeding started, I want to introduce Clayton Turner. So from chief engineer at the Dynamic Recording Studio in New York to increasing engineering leadership roles at NASA to our current director at Langley Research Center, Clayton leads our community from a deeply rooted enthusiasm for NASA's mission. I encourage you to review the list of recognitions and rewards he's received. You'll see words like leadership, exceptional engineering, distinguished alumni, fellowship, Hall of Fame. But there's 2 things I've learned about Clayton in my time at NASA. I've been here about 2 years now. 2 things. He loves modeling the NASA mission with those hungry to grow and contribute to something awesome. And he loves asking people how what they're doing is contributing to the NASA mission. So to put it simply, he loves being around you. And he loves what you're doing. And I know he's excited to share a few thoughts. So without further delay, Clayton Turner. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As you can imagine, in my position, I get introduced a lot. I can say that's the first time I've ever been introduced with the lead in, now the bloodiness starts, or whatever you said. That's a new one for me. So, I do appreciate being here, and I want to thank you all for coming here. And I know these are awkward times, so I appreciate your working with our protocols so we could celebrate our graduates, our certificate awardees today. This is really a big deal. So when people think about NASA, they think about going to the moon, and sometimes, rarely, they think about aircraft flying, or they think about widgets and gadgets. But when you think about NASA, you should think about one thing and one thing only. It's all about the people. If you were close enough to see my mask, and if you can't see my mask, there's posters all over the center. It is all about the people. That is what makes NASA special, and that is what makes Langley special. So the folks we're honoring today, what they are joining is a group of people that make our missions real, right? You hear that phrase, turn dreams into reality? Well, these folks literally take those thoughts and ideas and make them into something that solves challenges for the nation, that helps us to explore, helps us to understand our home planet, helps us to get from one coast to the other faster than we did before. That's what those folks are going to do. So back in the day when they used to let me go in a lab by myself, I learned a lot from that group of folks. I spent some time well before NASA repairing pinball machines and video games. So it wasn't that big, high, lofty goal, but those folks waiting to put that quarter in the machine were pretty excited I was there, okay? For the young folks, yeah, there was a time when you went to a place and you put a quarter in a machine. I know that's ancient history, but we can talk more about that another time. But the folks that we're honoring today will make that a reality. So as those 5 join our fraternity, they are, and I want you to listen to me, and I'm not overstating this, they are literally going to change the world. That's what we do here. I just shared one of my business cards. On the back of my business card, it says, reach for new heights to reveal the unknown for the benefit of humankind. That's what we do here every day. And those folks are going to turn those thoughts, those ideas, those concepts into real world things. And I can say certainly in my time here as a young engineer, I spent time with folks like Carl Vogelweed and Wayne Rohrbach. These were technicians that were experienced, and when I would come up with these amazing ideas in my head, and they would help me salt it and season it with a little bit of reality. And that's what makes a good engineer. That's what makes a good team that's going to deliver amazing each and every time. So for the family members that are here, know that your graduates, they are going to literally change the world, and that's what we want them to come here and do. And for those that haven't heard me say it, the first, middle, and last thing you're going to say when you're talking to people about your amazing work is not that you were able to get it 0.03% better. You're going to tell them how it's going to change their life, because that's what we do here. So I really appreciate your coming here and joining us. I want to get to the graduates, as I shared earlier in our private conversation. It really isn't about us. It's about our graduates. So thank you again for coming.
I just realized that I need to start using business cards again. That's one thing I learned. Thank you, Clayton. Contrary to what it might feel like, and I'm speaking to the apprentices here actually, contrary to what it might feel like on day one, we don't just jam a hard hat on an apprentice and toss them out into the fire. It may feel like that sometimes. But there is a tried and true approach to apprenticeship, one founded on a vision for development of head, heart, and hand, a set of methods and standards we commit to out of a partnership with the U.S. Department of Labor. And we're honored to have someone with us who has enthusiastically nurtured this relationship, leading us to this pivotal graduation ceremony, which I think is awesome because it's really putting a pin on the map for NASA as a registered apprenticeship, which is an amazing partnership. For the past 5 years, Jim Fody has served as our U.S. Department of Labor regional director. He's the regional director responsible for overseeing apprenticeship program activities, expansion, and quality for the Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Delaware, and District of Columbia apprentice programs. Jim comes to us with over 25 years of leadership in workforce education, healthcare, technology, apprenticeships, and strategic training partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Fody. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason, and thank you, Mr. Turner, and to all the wonderful staff that helped guide us on the tour. I was on a tour this morning with John McDowell, and it was a wonderful experience. It's also National Apprenticeship Week. This is one of the official National Apprenticeship Week events. We've had about 1,200 events around the country. And so this is the best celebration I've been to in the time, and I've been to a whole bunch of them in the past few weeks. But also wanted to talk a little bit about the Langley Research Center here, the wonderful history that you have with apprenticeship, all the great experience that's in this room. So I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here about the value of apprenticeships. The tour certainly brought back memories from my own apprenticeship as an equipment fabricator. And, apprenticeship is personal to me. It was really what I founded my career on. As I was looking at the graduation certificates, the completion of apprenticeship certificates, it's funny because I have the completion certificate. I've had it in my offices all the time. And of course, my graduate school diploma has been in my workbench. So I guess I've changed them around a little bit. But that's how much I value the apprenticeship experience. And here at NASA, it was really easy to see the energy, the vitality that the young people pump into the program. It was, like I said, the memories from my program were just amazing. It's the atmosphere of learning and innovation in the workplace. That's what they bring. That's what the program brings. And that's why it's so important here at NASA to cultivate this program. That's what apprenticeship does. It creates that atmosphere for apprentices and sponsors. And, apprenticeship right now, there's never been a better time for apprenticeship in the United States. I feel like, decades and decades of work that I've done in this field have all of a sudden now, come to pass. And it's just, businesses can't find the right talent, and young people need more avenues to success. We've been preached to about college for all, college only, a model. Now, of course, you can't argue against college. So I was talking earlier to Steve about apprenticeship as a stepping stone into college for a lot of people. And a lot of times there's hurdles. A lot of people have to work. I had to work. I wasn't going to take, the debt that my wife took out to go to college. So it was just, so I did work, and I went to college at night, finished my apprenticeship, went on to grad school, and it really, like I said, it boosted my career. So, and that's what we're looking for. But how do we get organizations to align? How do we get the skill development needs for employers and the career paths of young people to align? And I think that's really the challenge that we're all wrestling with. And of course, working in the public sector, it's always, getting, we talked about hiring in bunches earlier. That's always a challenge as well. The hiring process is always a challenge. That's why having a premier apprenticeship program here at NASA is so important and so vital to us. So before I introduce our special guest, I just wanted to give a round of applause to the graduates and to the many NASA team members who have helped train and mentor them. So congratulations once again. And today I have the honor of introducing U.S. Department of Labor's Assistant Secretary for Employment and Training. She's a colleague and also a friend, and her name is Angela Hanks. Before coming to the Labor Department, Ms. Hanks was the Deputy Executive Director of the Groundwork Collaborative, where she worked to advance a cross-cutting economic narrative for jobs and careers. And her work has been featured in the New York Times, in the Washington Post, The Atlantic, among others. She's a regular contributor at Forbes.com. But prior to joining Groundwork, Angela served as Deputy Center Director for the Post-Secondary and Economic Success at CLASP. She was the Director of Workforce Development Policy at the Center for American Progress. And she also holds a master's degree, a law degree from the University of Maryland Law School, and a bachelor's degree in political science from GWU. And she will share her message via video. I believe that's queued up. So without further ado, Assistant Secretary Hanks. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Angela Hanks, and I'm the Acting Assistant Secretary of the Employment and Training Administration at the Department of Labor. And I'm thrilled to bring greetings from the department and from Secretary Marty Walsh, who sends his congratulations to the graduates, to the Langley Research Center, and to Director Clayton Turner for your wonderful and long-standing apprenticeship program at NASA. It is my pleasure to join you in celebration of the graduation of NASA Engineering Technician Apprentices who've contributed significantly to the important work of NASA over their years of learning and technical training while completing their apprenticeship programs. The Langley Research Center's program is one of the premier public sector registered apprenticeship programs that we have in the federal government, and we salute you on your efforts in focusing on quality and adaptability for NASA's skill needs for the future. On behalf of Secretary Walsh and the leadership of the Department of Labor, I'd like to congratulate the graduates and new Journey Worker engineering technicians for your tremendous accomplishment in graduating the apprenticeship program. I understand that NASA Langley Apprenticeship Program has a rich history since 1941, that you all are following in the footsteps of true aeronautical engineering professionals who have paved the way for your updated program, fulfilling the need for a multi-skilled engineering technician workforce in support of the center's research program. So again, congratulations. As you may know, this graduation is just a week after our National Apprenticeship Week celebration, which is an opportunity to highlight how registered apprenticeship, a proven and industry-driven training model, provides a critical, equitable talent pipeline that can help address some of our nation's most pressing workforce challenges, such as responding to critical supply chain demands and supporting a clean energy workforce, modernizing our cybersecurity response, addressing public health issues, and rebuilding our country's infrastructure, and of course, ensuring quality jobs. Each year during National Apprenticeship Week, leaders in industry, labor, workforce, education, and government host events to showcase the success and value of registered apprenticeship for rebuilding our economy, advancing racial and gender equity, and supporting underserved communities. This year, we celebrated approximately 1,200 registered apprenticeship National Apprenticeship Weeks events in all 50 states and US territories. At the US Department of Labor, we understand how difficult the COVID-19 pandemic has been on everyone across the country. The challenges brought by the pandemic, including the global supply chain shortages, bring to light the importance of registered apprenticeship programs in providing a pipeline of talent to support programs like NASA in its vital research work. As we progress toward economic recovery and begin to build back better, we must expand opportunities in our workforce that are inclusive of individuals who have been historically marginalized, underserved, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequality. An inclusive and diverse workforce that will fortify our economy requires jobs that pays workers a fair wage and provide financial security by helping them save for retirement and ensuring that there are reliable supports in place to help them through hard times. Equity is at the heart of the administration's efforts. The administration aims to rebuild a new American economy, an economy that invests in the promise and potential of every single American, an economy that leaves no one out and no one behind, and an economy that makes it easier for families to break into the middle class and stay in the middle class. We are committed to a historic focus on equity and job quality and doubling down on proven workforce models that deliver results. Registered apprenticeship is critical to all three. Registered apprenticeship allows apprentices to earn while they learn and provides a pathway to well-paying careers and the ability to advance in those careers. The Department of Labor has recently made investments that will allow us to expand on what works. That includes equity-focused funding to states and local communities. We recently awarded more than $99 million in state apprenticeship expansion, equity, and innovation grants to bolster states' efforts to expand programming and inclusive recruitment strategies to attract a diverse workforce. These grants also aim to develop partnerships with new industries and non-traditional occupations and focus on including underrepresented populations. And we are investing in organizations focused on equity and apprenticeship at a national level. We recently invested nearly $31 million through cooperative agreements to establish 4 registered apprenticeship technical assistance centers of excellence. These centers will also work across public and private sector partners to expand opportunities in registered apprenticeship for women, for youth, for people of color, rural communities, justice-involved individuals, and individuals with disabilities. But we need to do more. We need to understand that all workers, especially those that have been marginalized, have meaningful access to and support in registered apprenticeship programs. And we need to ensure that we are growing high quality programs like this one that lead to good jobs for all workers who participate. And as we work to build back a better economy, these grants will empower workers from underserved populations to get the training and support they need to secure good paying jobs and pathways into the middle class. They're important and effective tools for creating an inclusive and equitable workforce. We also must ensure that women play and continue to play a crucial role in building an inclusive apprenticeship system. For too long, women have faced barriers to gaining entry into apprenticeship programs and non-traditional careers. Given the historic underrepresentation of women in apprenticeship programs, it's critical that we advance opportunities for women in registered apprenticeship programs. Their participation is vital to building a successful, competitive, and diverse workforce. To that end, we've committed funding for women in apprenticeship. The U.S. Department of Labor recently awarded $3.3 million in grant funding to help recruit, train, and retain more women in quality pre-apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship programs through the Women in Apprenticeship and Non-Traditional Occupations Program, or WANTO. The WANTO grants help expand pathways for women to enter and lead in all industries. The grants will help women pursue careers in advanced manufacturing, construction, energy, healthcare, information technology, finance, transportation, and more. As we work to build back better, we need to invest in partnerships so that women get the training and support they need to secure good paying jobs and pathways into the middle class through apprenticeship. And we have a historic opportunity to do that with the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the pending legislation in the Build Back Better agenda. At the core of these investments is equity. We have a historic opportunity to ensure that the jobs created through these investments create good jobs for women across all industries. And registered apprenticeship is key to making that a reality. Finally, I'll mention the new Apprenticeship Ambassador Initiative. Secretary Walsh also recently announced the establishment of an Apprenticeship Ambassador Initiative to bring together industry, labor, education, equity, and workforce leaders to serve as champions to expand, diversify, and modernize registered apprenticeship. Ambassadors will support our goal to expand registered apprenticeship, including youth apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs, and create good jobs for all workers across the country. As champions for registered apprenticeship, apprenticeship ambassadors will partner with DOL to promote and expand the benefits of registered apprenticeship, to expand and scale innovative practices and partnerships, to increase access and support for underrepresented and underserved communities, and communicate the business case for apprenticeship as a mainstream workforce strategy. We encourage individuals from NASA and other organizations who have seen the value and benefits of registered apprenticeship and who want to partner with DOL to help bring awareness to others to apply to be an ambassador. Thank you again, and congratulations to NASA and the program graduates. We look forward to many more graduates in the future and to you demonstrating your expertise and sharing your leadership with other public sector registered apprenticeship sponsors. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Hanks. And I want to actually draw attention. Mr. Turner, when he was up here, framed it up as being world changers. Mr. Foti framed it up as an opportunity. And I think after hearing Ms. Hanks, you're just a part of something really big going on here. So we have 5 apprentices in this room that we're honoring, but the impact is, of course, just like Clayton said, global. So I think it's awesome. I appreciate her taking the time to send us that video. I want to introduce your class speaker who's representing you as apprentices, Patricia Jackson. There you go, celebrate. So Patricia is an Engineering Technician Apprentice graduate, and you're going to be hearing more about her when I read her bio when she gets her certificate. But I did want to bring attention to something I learned about her in a conversation, I think it was last week when we met for the first time. She has an important characteristic, one that she exhibits, that I believe each of you that raised your hand earlier in this room would attest to about what it means to be an apprentice. And that's an I'll try that mentality. That's unique, I think, to what it means to be an apprentice. It really is opening up your aperture and being willing to say yes to a challenge. And I think everyone who's been through any kind of rotation can attest to that. Just as you get comfortable, right? You move on to something else and you're saying, okay, I'll try that. And I'm sure you'll hear about it. But it was a great example of somebody who was looking for an adventure, somebody who was willing to roll up her sleeves and take on everything that is an apprenticeship. So give it up for your class speaker, Patricia Jackson. Yep.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patricia Jackson. I wanted to first say thank you, everyone, for coming out and showing some support. This accomplishment means a lot to me, and I'm pretty sure it does for the rest of the apprentices as well. Starting out a couple years ago, I had no idea what this experience would have as much of an impact on me as it has. Coming in, I can recall at my interview, one of the questions that they asked me they asked me if I had any questions, and of course I did. So I asked, if I were to be selected for this opportunity, what do you all expect from me? Because to be honest, I was terrified because I knew I had relevant experience and I had some college, but NASA has pristine to the name. You think that the fact that you're working with PhD candidates, individuals with PhDs, seasoned technicians and seasoned engineers, it can be intimidating to someone who's coming in and does not have any of those things. And so pretty much the response that I was given was that my purpose of being here in the Pathways position was to learn. And so from there, I just started asking questions. If I needed help with clarification on something that I was learning in school, I would then bring it to work and ask them if they could bring some relevancy to the context to the material that I was learning. And if I didn't understand a system or a tunnel out here, which there are plenty, I would constantly ask questions over and over again. And to believe it or not, people did not get irritated. They answered your questions and provided you lots of help and feedback needed to be a successful technician. And so with that, I took that into the Apprentice program, where I was more confident in taking on individual tasks, and to the point where I was able to help build a walkway on top of a tunnel, or one rotation. I was working on the gantry, and then working in the tunnels. There's always something different, and I'm very appreciative for this opportunity because it means a lot to me. I feel like I've grown a lot individually and professionally since I've gotten here, and I've made plenty professional and personal relationships that have helped shape me to be a successful technician. Working around so many engineers and people with different titles have inspired me to continue asking questions, and I've learned that failure, just because you fail, it doesn't mean that you really failed at the project. That's another opportunity to learn, to gaze onto a new topic and really explore something out of your comfort zone, something that, not everyone has been able to get the correct answer to. So I appreciate you all being here, and thank you for giving me the time to speak today. Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really appreciate, Patricia, how you went from things you're doing with your hands to the relationships that you've built. There's no way anyone can master anything in 3 or 4 years, right? You're touching the tip of the iceberg, but the relationships are what keeps that going. And I love that. Thanks for focusing on that. I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker this afternoon, Technical Apprentice Program graduate and Deputy Director for Langley's Engineering Directorate, Steve Gale. Along with serving as the focal point for relationships with other organizations, Steve is responsible for managing budget, overseeing workforce hiring and employee development, and sustaining systems engineering capabilities at Langley. In addition to completing his apprenticeship as a journeyman machinist, he's engaged NASA's mission across a dynamic career path that includes multiple engineering roles and technical leadership positions, acting director of the Office of Human Capital Management's Workforce Office, director of the Office of Equal Opportunity Programs, and designer and leader of multiple human-centered programs and initiatives. Steve is a highly respected and decorated champion of the engineering community, and he's played a pivotal role as a promoter and advisor of current efforts to bring apprenticeship at NASA to new standards of quality and execution. Please join me in welcoming Steve Gale. All right.
Thank you, Jason. No point in me trying to do this without these. So thank you, esteemed guests and center leaders, proud family members and friends, and most of all, congratulations, graduates. To you, Michael, Glenn, Patricia, Jonathan, and Michael, kudos to a job well done. Today we are here to honor you and to recognize your hard work and dedication to completing your internships and your apprenticeships, where you are now transitioning from that trainee to a journeyman within your craft. You have successfully completed numerous hours of coursework and logged many, many hours in the field, honing your skills, building new relationships, and finally reaching the pinnacle of your apprenticeship, for which we are here today to celebrate. Almost 30 years ago, 30 years ago, I was sitting where you are now sitting, figuratively speaking. I'm proud to say I too am a graduate of the NASA Langley Research Center's Engineering Technician Program, Apprentice Program, class of 1993. Throughout my career, I have seen where Langley's technician workforce is a vital part, as Clayton said, to accomplishing the mission of NASA. As technicians, we work side by side with researchers and engineers and scientists to make ideas reality, to solve some of our nation's greatest challenges. From building test articles and prototypes and flight systems to operating world-class test facilities, we are where the rubber meets the road. Each of us had our own motivation to coming to work here at NASA Langley. I came to Langley in 1987 at the ripe age of 19 years old, looking for a job. And I'm very grateful that I was lucky enough to land a position in the Engineering Technician Co-op program. It wasn't very long, though, that I discovered something more than a job. I discovered a very fulfilling career. A career with purpose and passion, and most of all, I found an opportunity to serve something bigger than myself. A real chance to serve my nation. You may be saying to yourselves, boy, he sure drank the Kool-Aid. Well, I did, and I went back for seconds. And here's why. The mission of our agency is unlike any other. We are part of a team pushing the boundaries of space exploration, scientific discovery, and aeronautics research. We are pioneers exploring the unknown, seeking to discover, achieving the impossible, and inspiring new generations. I cannot imagine a cooler place to work than right here at NASA. So I'm going to ask each of you as graduates, why are you here? If you're unsure, then I'm going to challenge you to do this. Serve something greater than yourselves. You never know the impact you'll have. In serving something greater than yourselves, you'll find purpose and meaning and passion, and you'll never work a day in your life. One of my favorite quotes on service to others is from Muhammad Ali. And he says, service to others is the rent we pay here for our room here on earth. By each of us selflessly doing our part as NASA employees, we are serving our nation and the American taxpayer. We are paying our rent, so to speak. NASA's vision to discover and expand knowledge for the benefit of humanity. As a member of the NASA team, we can serve others by striving to achieve that vision, to push those boundaries, to achieve the impossible. As you embark on the next chapters of your careers, I'd like to pass along some characteristics that have served me well throughout my career for you to consider. First, be curious. Ask questions and seek answers. We just heard Patricia talk about asking questions and getting answers. Be fueled by the desire to know more. Being curious can help us see new worlds of possibility beyond the business of status quo. It turns out that most innovations in business resulted from the curiosity of the employees. Curiosity makes us better listeners and leads us to become more self-aware. And why is that important? Being better listeners, being more self-aware is the foundation to building trusting relationships. And having strong, trusting relationships is how we get things done. Einstein said, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." Well, I say curiosity didn't kill the cat. It's a chance to try something new every day to solve the unsolvable. The next characteristic I'd like for you to consider is to be a good teammate. The benefits of teamwork include increased efficiency, the ability to focus different minds on the same problem, and mutual support. How do we solve today's challenges? We build on the strength of each member of our team. A good teammate has humility. This means embracing the role you're best suited for on the team instead of gunning for the spotlight. A good teammate is proactive and takes on any role that's necessary to make the team successful. A good teammate will pick up whatever ball is rolling on the floor and run with it, to be proactive. A good teammate is inclusive, where they welcome the diverse opinions and ideas of others beside their own. What do all successful NASA projects have in common? They have teams of skilled professionals working together in harmony to solve problems and deliver results. Next characteristic. Pursue excellence. Excellence is defined as the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. In our business, I think the pursuit of excellence is staying sharp, paying attention to detail, being critical thinkers. To me, the pursuit of excellence is asking hard questions of our peers, of our leaders, and of ourselves, to make sure we're diligent in delivering on our commitments. It means following standards and procedures and processes, but it's also having the courage to challenge those standards and processes and procedures when we see a need for change. Complacency is the enemy of excellence, and each of us can become complacent in our jobs. But there are times when accomplishing our mission leaves little room for error. Many of the technologies and complex systems that we develop must perform flawlessly in extreme harsh environments. Complacency in our jobs can lead to costly mishaps and even loss of life. By pursuing excellence every day when we come through those gates, we are doing our level best to safely execute our mission. Next, I'd like for you to consider being agile and flexible. And what do I mean by that? At NASA, we're sometimes asked to work in a very uncertain environment. This is the business we're in, where our mission can change with every new administration, or we don't start off with a clear set of requirements for a system that we're being asked to develop. We cannot allow ourselves to fear the unknown, though. We must embrace change and be ready to adapt to whatever the future may bring, else we will wither and die on the vine. We must continue to reinvent ourselves to remain relevant to stay in the game. Be resilient. You're going to have setbacks in your careers. I sure did. Especially if you're pushing the boundaries to try new things. Making a mistake is not to be feared. It's not the enemy. It takes adversity to achieve success. We don't give up. We don't dwell on our mistakes. We learn from our mistakes, and then we move forward. We stay the course to achieve our goals. And finally, before I wrap, have fun. We do some amazing things at NASA. Sometimes we can take for granted just how cool our job really is. If you don't believe me, tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, or a stranger in the grocery store what you do here at Langley. They will be fascinated, and some may even be in awe of what you do. Go into a classroom of 6-year-olds and tell them your story. Tell them the NASA story. Their eyes will light up, and you will be viewed as a superhero. At times, I have found myself getting bogged down in the mire of bureaucracy or the day's drama. But then I think about the teams and the accomplishments that I was fortunate to be a part of, the fun that I had in achieving those goals. Seeing hardware that I built launched into space, being used by astronauts to construct the International Space Station, or being part of a team that executes a successful test to prove out a new technology, or to return the space shuttle to service, or to certify the new Orion spaceship. It's quite a rush, and it's incredibly fun. So I'm going to share a story with you about having fun that I had some time back. I had the privilege of serving as a lead engineer on a project here at Langley called Splash. Our team was responsible for developing a test technique for simulating a water landing for the Orion crew module after returning for space, much like the Apollo spacecraft did. Our job was to successfully commission the hydro impact basin down at the gantry, great big swimming pool down there, that we used to eventually certify the Orion crew module for water landing, as well as collect vital engineering data to correlate our analytical models to make sure they were telling us the truth. So there we were with a 20,000-pound hunk of metal shaped like the Orion crew module, 16 foot in diameter, suspended 80 feet in the air at the gantry. And I was the lead, and I was responsible for that hardware. Upon command, we were going to turn it loose and let it swing. We were then going to fire 3 pyrotechnic bolts at the same precise moment in time, simultaneously, mind you, dropping the BTA essentially into a 25-foot deep swimming pool that was about 100 feet long. This controlled chaos would occur in front of employees, hundreds of employees, excuse me, media, bloggers, my boss, my boss's boss, my boss's boss's boss, our center director, and some of our agency senior leaders. I remember standing there looking up at that behemoth 80 feet in the air and saying, boy, I sure hope this thing doesn't end up on With Creek Road. With Creek Road was right through the bushes there from where the swimming pool was. So the adrenaline was kicking in. My heart was pounding. Big lump in the throat. And then the command was given to release the test article. And as I stood there holding my breath, I'm happy to report the test went flawlessly. Where the test article landed exactly in the pool where we wanted it to, and it stayed in the pool just like we intended it to. I can't tell you what an exhilaration that was, seeing 2 years of planning and hard work come to fruition. I remember saying to one of my teammates, boy, we sure have a cool job. And I still feel that way today. What a fun experience that day was, and over the entire 2 years of working together as a team to pull it off. In whatever role I've had here at the center over the last 34 years, I can say, for the most part, it's been fun. So I'll close by saying that each of you possess a gift, a talent, a set of skills that make you very special. Your agency and your center need you to apply those skills to move our mission forward. We need you to continue to expand your knowledge and continue to grow. We need you to ask those curious questions and strive for excellence. We need you to be agile and resilient when encountering change or the unknown. And finally, we need you to have fun. Again, congratulations, class of 2021. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you. Thank you.
My name is Glenn Sweat. I'm an electrical engineering technician in the RD branch, part of the subsonic, transonic testing branch. Part of my job is supporting the test facilities throughout the center.
My name is Jonathan Harris in the Simulation Development and Analysis branch for the Research Services Directorate. Out here we have state-of-the-art flight simulators used to advance technologies and test research concepts for aeronautics and even space exploration through a real-time simulated environment.
My name is Patricia Jackson. Currently, I am an aerospace technician for the Supersonics and Hypersonics branch and the Research Directorate. And the facilities that I am currently supporting are the Mach 6 and Mach 10 wind tunnels.
My name is Michael Reagan. I am an electronics technician in the Electronic Systems branch, which is part of the Engineering Directorate. And I am currently working on the Lofted project.
Community college gave me the knowledge, and the Apprentice program gave me the skills, and together I am able to effectively complete tasks and duties assigned to me on a day-to-day basis.
The on-the-job training really helped me fine-tune my skill set so that I can apply it to some of the projects I was working on.
It was still intimidating for me coming out here to NASA Langley to try to apply that classroom knowledge to my on-the-job duties as an electronics engineering technician. But the apprenticeship, along with the on-the-job training, along with the classroom knowledge, really set up a structured environment for me to apply my classroom knowledge to my work.
I found it extremely beneficial to be in school at the same time as I was part of this program, learning new concepts and theories and ideas, and being able to go into work and have practical experience with it or ask questions from technicians who understood it was invaluable for me. And when I got into my full-time position here, it was a real seamless transition.
One of my favorite memories about the program has been the people that I've met along the way, because they have all played a part in helping me succeed as an apprentice.
Coming up with the other apprentices, even though it was a few of us, we were still able to go through all the courses together and have that camaraderie that'll last throughout our entire career out here at NASA.
Definitely one of my favorite memories during the apprenticeship program was working on the Medley 2 project. Realizing that something that I helped build was going to outer space and even landing on Mars was an amazing feeling.
Being able to rotate through other sections and do work in various areas and get a lot of experience in areas I would have never considered before, from avionics to the electronics for space flight, and to see all that was happening here at NASA Langley is a big eye-opener.
The advice that I would give to someone coming into the program would be to not be discouraged when you come across an individual with a PhD or a master's degree, because they're all here to help you grow and learn as an individual and a future NASA employee.
I was 28 years old and I already had another college degree, another line of work, but I knew I wanted to try something different. And it was pretty intimidating at that age, wanting to do something different because of all of my responsibilities. But the apprenticeship, along with the community college partnership, set me up in a way that I was going to succeed no matter what I did out here at NASA Langley.
There might be some moments where you feel like you're a little in over your head, that everybody else around you is a little bit more skilled than you are. But before you know it, you're going to be out of the program and you're going to be helping other apprentices that were just like you. So just keep your head up.
What advice would you give someone considering the program?
Now that things stop. For anybody that was considering this program, I would absolutely advise taking full advantage of it.
All right, so now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Presentation of certificates. Remember, this is a celebration, so it's okay to get a little loud on this one. So as our apprentices get into position and our leadership joins me on stage, I want to point out the significance of this part of the ceremony. What we're handing to our apprentices is a symbol of a joint celebration of their accomplishment. Our engineering leadership investment into apprenticeship by providing access to the right people, the right environment for high quality development in their craft. Our center leadership's investment through energy, sponsorship, and resources, and our state's investment into growth, partnership, and opportunity through registered apprenticeship. Now, as I read each apprentice's bio, they'll be making their way down the stage to receive their certificates and get their picture taken. Michael Reagan. Michael began his career at NASA Langley as a Pathways intern in the fall of 2014. He completed the Pathway internship program where he graduated magna cum laude from Southside Virginia Community College with an Associates of Applied Science degree in Electrical Engineering Technology. After graduation, Michael was accepted into an Engineering Technical Apprenticeship program at NASA Langley and assigned to the Electronic System branch in the Engineering Directorate. During his apprenticeship, Michael developed the skill sets needed to provide technical excellence in the development of electronic hardware and instrumentation system used to conduct critical research and development in support of the agency and center missions. Following graduation of the apprenticeship, Michael has continued his career as an electronics technician in the Electronic Systems branch. He currently lives in Hampton with his wife Laura and son Christian. And outside of NASA, Michael enjoys recreational sports and riding. Give it up for Michael. Michael Goodwin began his career at NASA Langley as a Pathways intern in the fall of 2016. Before becoming a Pathways intern, Michael was employed by Newport News Shipbuilding and attended Thomas Nelson Community College in the evening. With dual efforts to attend the Newport News Shipbuilding Apprentice Program and the Pathway Intern Program, dual offers, Michael chose the Pathway Internship. He completed the Pathway Internship Program when he graduated summa cum laude from the Thomas Nelson Community College with an Associates of Applied Science degree in Electrical Engineering Technology. After graduation, Michael was accepted into the Engineering Technician Apprentice Program at NASA Langley and assigned to the Materials and Structures Experiments branch in the Research Directorate. During his apprenticeship, Michael developed skill sets in vacuum technology, model preparations, and pumping operations. His goal is to become an equipment specialist for the 16M thermal vacuum chamber. Married with 2 boys, Michael enjoys the freedom to spend more time with his family due to working for NASA. And then we have Glenn. Glenn began his career at NASA Langley as a Pathways intern in the fall of 2016. He completed the Pathways internship program when he graduated from Thomas Nelson Community College with an Associates of Applied Science and Engineering Technology. During his apprenticeship, Glenn developed the skill sets required to troubleshoot, test, and repair complex electrical control systems that utilize devices such as program logistics controllers, PLC ladder logic, motor controllers, relays, protection devices, solid-state controllers, and low-voltage instrumentation systems. After graduation, Glenn will continue to work as an electronics technician in the subsonic transonic testing branch. He currently lives in Newport News with his youngest daughter, Michaela. When not at work, Glenn enjoys spending time with his family and friends. Congratulations, Glenn. Patricia Jackson began her career at NASA Langley as a Pathways intern in the fall of 2016. She graduated summa cum laude from Thomas Nelson Community College with an Associates of Applied Science degree in Mechanical Engineering Technology. During her apprenticeship, Patricia developed skill sets required to design, fabricate, integrate, and test instrumentation systems that acquire data to meet various project goals and objectives. After graduation, Patricia will continue to work as a mechanical technician in the supersonic, hypersonic testing branch. She currently lives in Hampton with her mom and animals. When not at work, Patricia enjoys going on road trips, spending time with her family, her animals, and hiking. Congratulations again, Patricia. And then we have Jonathan Harris. He began his career at NASA as a Pathways intern in the fall of 2014. After graduation, Jonathan was accepted into the Engineering Technician Apprentice program at NASA Langley and assigned to the Systems Integration and Test branch in the Engineering Directorate. He was involved with the assembly, integration, and environmental testing of aircraft and aerospace hardware to meet project goals and requirements. After graduation, he accepted a position in the Simulation Development and Analysis branch in the Research Service Directorate, where he develops and maintains electronic systems in support of advanced state-of-the-art aeronautical and aerospace flight simulators. He currently lives in Gloucester with his wife Sarah and 2 children, Lucy and Otis. And when he's not at work, he enjoys camping, boating, spending time with family. Let's give him a round of applause again. And I believe,
And we just had a little something to give the director. It's just a certificate of apprenticeship registration. We figured you might have needed a new one or two for the walls.
all right.
John, do you want to?
Thank you, Ms. Freddy. Well, let's honor these graduates and the families, our leadership, and all those who are here that have invested in them and those that are watching. Give them another round of applause. Congratulations. And I'd like to invite Clayton back up to say a few words.
All right, thank you. That was really exciting. I actually thought it would be a little louder in here, so I know we get conditioned when we go to graduation sometimes, be quiet, but we actually were okay with a lot of energy. I want to, again, offer my congratulations to the graduates. You heard a lot of remarks from a lot of folks. You're in an amazing place. You've heard us say that over and over. You're doing amazing things for people. You've heard us say that over and over. And you also heard us say that every day is not going to be perfect. But if you keep your focus on those amazing things you're doing, you'll navigate through all those challenges and find this to be an amazing career. We heard that somebody was starting their career here at age 28. I started my career here at age 33 after 3 careers. And I can tell you from the very first day I came here, when I was watching some people do a thermal vac test, and for those that you don't know, basically it's a giant cylinder that's 15 feet long and 8 feet in diameter, and you sit and watch it for about 8 or 9 days, 24/7. And the excitement and energy because their baby was about to go fly, there was no other place I wanted to be than right here. And I feel that same way today. And if you embrace, you listen to the messages that Steve shared, you find that way to have fun, you find that way to be curious, you learn from those things that don't go well, you will be saying the same thing. I know I sound like the old guy, but you will be saying that same thing. What an amazing career this has been. And what you're doing right now is just the beginning. It is not your ceiling. It is not your end. It is your beginning. You will get to choose your path in your career. There are no limits. You don't have to stay in any corner. You can go wherever you want to go. So I'm going to leave you with 2 quotes that I have on my whiteboard. The first from our administrator. We have the privilege to serve the nation and the power to unite it. So graduates, I talk to you. You have the privilege to serve the nation and the power to unite it. The second quote I'll share is from an old movie. To be in the service of others with people I respect, what more could I ask for? I want you to think about that a little bit and imagine your work environment, your life environment where you get to do that. That's what will get you through those bumpy spots and have you many years later just as excited on that future day as you are on this day. So thank you and congratulations, graduates.
Thank you, Clayton. And thank you all again for being here. And those watching online too or watching the recording, thank you for participating. Before we close, I did want to recognize a few people who have made today's ceremony possible. First, I want to recognize Phil Candle, sitting right up here in the corner. Right. This person has been relentlessly pursuing this vision for what apprenticeship can be. Working directly with Center Leadership, with Department of Labor, and I just wanted to make sure we recognize him. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. I also want to recognize the Technical Advisory Board. Some of you here are a member of that board. That board is chaired by Keith Harris, who behind the scenes has been working the clock and moving pieces around and making a day like this happen. So I want to recognize him and that board of people for passionately keeping the administration, development, and value of apprentices at the forefront of the center. Yeah, absolutely. The conference team here at Langley is just top of the line, the backbone for being able to accomplish meetings like this, so I want to recognize them. And then the best for last, the babies, the moms, the dads, the family. I want to give you all a round of applause because this is really about you as well. So thank you for being here.